please stand to the pledge of allegiance. And then if you'd like to stand, standing, Pastor Jung will be leading the opening prayer. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let us pray. Loving God, thank you for giving us all a new day and letting us live every day with your grace. We are gathered here this evening to have a meeting for our community and village. Let this meeting bear the precious mission for our village and community. And through this meeting, lead each of us to peace of the Lord so that God's will can be achieved in our community. Above all, many people who work hard for this meeting are full of peace and grace from God. Give them good health and wisdom, and guide their families to be full of joy and gratitude. Let us practice the Lord's command to love your neighbors like ourselves through the service of this community. And to this end, bless them with the strength and ability so that they can achieve all the projects and events of this community. We remember the word of the Lord. You will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. May we devote ourselves to the true truth and enjoy true freedom through that dedication. May today be an evening full of God's blessings and grace, and may the Lord protect and guide us in the midst of grace from the beginning to the end of this meeting. We pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor. Council minutes from January 24th, 2022.
I'll make the motion to approve the minutes. My apologies. I just followed your lead. Roberto.
Roll call, Lisa.
I'm leaving it on Bob Belknap.
Here.
Glenn Newsom. Here. Mike Gunner.
Here.
Tim Waters.
Here.
Barb McHenry. Here. James Eitzen.
Present.
Jerry Hayes. Here.
Minutes of the January 24th, 2022.
Okay, now I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of January 24th, 22 as presented.
I'll support that. Moved and supported to approve the minutes of January 24th, 2022 as presented. Any questions or corrections?
I just had one thing on the bulletin 9. Gunther's last name is misspelled.
Thank you.
You're welcome. That was it.
Nothing else, you can call the roll, Lisa.
Mike.
Yes.
Yes. James.
Yes.
Barb. Yes. Tim.
Yes.
Jerry.
Yes.
Bob.
Yes. Minutes approved. Agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as presented. Support.
Moved and supported to approve agenda as presented. You can call the roll, Lisa.
Barb. Yes. Jerry.
Yes.
James.
Yes.
Mike.
Yes.
Gwen. Yes. Tim.
Yes.
Bob.
Yes. Agenda approved. Public comment items on the agenda. No public comment on to unfinished business. Any unfinished business?
Yes, I have a question if I may. Danielle, perhaps you could enlighten us regarding the 104 King Street issue that was brought to our attention at our last council meeting. Was there anyone, did the folks come in and talk with you regarding the situation and what's resolved?
I have not spoke to the residents. They've not come to see me. I have talked to staff and followed up and received additional information from them. However, I'd rather not comment on their side without being able to tell both sides at this time, but I do believe, I've worked with staff moving forward. I think there was some miscommunications. I don't think staff had any intention or did make any comments that were out of line, and I'll leave it at that.
Understand, but they never did come in to.
I did not hear from them, no.
I'm very surprised at that, but thank you for the information.
Yes. And then there is an unfinished agenda item too, whenever you're ready.
Okay,
Okay, so I have actually the ordinance amendment for the purchasing code. This actually was already approved by council. However, we recently had made some ordinance amendments and we're updating our books, and we did not have this one. So then looking back, I can't find, and I'm not saying it's not done, but I couldn't find where it was properly published. So just out of an abundance of caution, to be extra careful, I'm having you guys look at this again. Again, you've already approved it, but my intent is hopefully to be able to approve it again tonight, get it published properly, and then actually codified within our ordinances. It's exactly as Darwin had presented it to you guys when it was approved before. So, I mean, if there are changes, now would be the time, but we did make a policy following this ordinance, so hopefully there's not too many, but let me know otherwise.
I move to adopt the ordinance amending Article 2.000, purchasing, contracting, and selling procedure of the village of Blissfield Code of Ordinances to designate the village administrator and village clerk as purchasing agents of the village, to increase the dollar threshold for requiring sealed competitive bids, to add provisions permitting debarment of vendors, to add provisions permitting local bidder preference, and to increase the dollar threshold for sale of personal property effective upon publication.
Support.
been moved and supported. In that motion, can you call the roll, Lisa, as on that motion as presented?
Tim,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
Barb? Yes. Gwen,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Jerry,
Yes.
Bob,
Yes. Motion passed again. New business, payroll.
I move to approve the payroll register for January 2022 in the amount of $127,780.58.
Support.
Moved and supported to approve the payroll register for January 2022 in the amount of $127,780.58.
The only comment that I would like to make is I did have a couple questions, and I had the opportunity to email Lisa about those questions, and she responded. I don't know if you guys had the opportunity to take a look at your emails regarding those. And thanks again, Lisa. I appreciate that.
Can you call the roll on that?
Mike,
Yes.
Jerry,
Yes.
Gwen,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
Barb? Yes. Bob?
Yes. Motion carried. Action item 2, accounts payable.
Move to approve accounts payable for the period of January 12th, 2022 to February 15th, 2022 in the amount of $628,287.45.
Support.
Moved and supported to approve the accounts payable for the period of January 12th, 2022 to February 15th, 2022 in the amount of $628,287.45. Questions on those? If not, you can call the roll, Lisa.
James,
Yes.
Jerry,
Yes.
Gwen,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Barb, yes, Bob,
Yes, the bills are paid. Action item 3, approve rear gate installation at water treatment plant.
You wanna take the lead, Nora? So we purchased the gate, December 14th. So that was the gate that was gonna take us about 14 to 16 weeks to get. We're at about 2 months now. They did call and tell me that they moved our project ahead because we had a single gate instead of a large group. So we should be getting that soon. And so I went out for some bids on the installation. I started with Moser, who was our original contractor, and put in those original gates. The project wasn't big enough for them to send workforce work. It's gonna be about a 6 to 8 hour project. So they didn't want to bid it out after. I also checked with Sylvan, since they're working at the wastewater plant, gave them a chance. They didn't want to bid it out either. When we were meeting with our engineers, they gave me the Midwest Power here that bid us out and for $5,900 to install that gate. Like I said, about 6 to 8 hour project. So we will switch our shifts at the water plant so they can work during the day and we will run and produce water at night. But other than that, I'll keep you guys updated on when we get everything in and we're working on it, so.
You have any questions for Nora?
When did you say they were gonna start it?
Once I get the gate, they will, so I'm waiting for the gate from, Golden Harvest. Once I get the gate, they'll remeasure, make sure everything came in as we ordered. And then they'll work on it, so it'll be logistics on when I can flip shifts at the plant and everything else, so. I will, in your update, probably by the end of the month, maybe beginning of next month, I'll have an idea and let you guys know.
Just a quick question. Any other companies out there that do this kind of stuff or no?
Not really, it's kind of a water treatment specialized type job, so I went with local contractors, and then I didn't even know this when I talked to Manikin Smith, I said, hey, I'm having problems getting bids, do you know anybody? And they gave us some names, so.
Okay. Thank you.
Mhm.
I have a question.
Anything else? Huh? All right, then. Thanks, Nora.
You're not allowed to ask a question at this particular time.
Well, if you say if I can, I can.
I'm just trying to follow the rules of the procedures.
You can talk to Nora afterwards if you'd like.
You know,
Larry.
Ader Mechanical do stuff like that too. For less than $737 an hour.
All right, then there's a recommended motion.
Make a motion to approve the install of the rear gate at the water treatment plant completed by Midwest Power Systems for the amount of $5,900.
support,
Moved and supported to approve the install of the rear gate at the water treatment plant to be completed by Midwest Power Systems for the amount of $5,900. Any other comments or questions? You can call the roll, Lisa.
Jerry,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Barb, yes. James,
Yes.
Gwen,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Bob,
Yes, motion carried. Action item 4, approve wastewater treatment plant upgrade change order bulletin number 15.
Council, Denise is on, I hope still on Zoom, and then Randy is here. So this change order is 2 parts. The first, or one of the parts, is for some under slab concrete work that was required to be done by the electrical inspector, and I had actually emailed council about this, I want to say 2 or 3 weeks ago, giving you guys a heads up. There was a difference in what we had, or what Pogemeyer had designed and what was actually required by the electrical inspector. And at that time, the contractor was actually requesting more money. Pogemeyer was able to get them down a little bit. But at that time, we had decided that it was gonna be more time effective and cost effective to go ahead and make those changes as required by the inspector, because the other option would have been to appeal him, which is a lengthy process, and then potentially you run the risk of not being approved and still having to do it anyway. So that's one portion of the change order, which was, I think, 23,566.51. I do think that the contractor's a little bit inflated there, but again, Pogemeyer was able to get them down from where they initially started. The second part of the change order is for a non-potable water line, and that amount is $4,393.14. I'm actually going to hand it over to Denise to explain this, because I am a little bit confused still on exactly how this happened, because our plans showed non-potable, and then when this was all designed, it looks like it was switched. So I don't want to explain it to you incorrectly. So Denise, do you mind taking over?
Yeah, sure. No, I think you explained it correctly. The drawings that we used, we were not able to find the drawing that Randy had in our, we scanned everything in that was provided to us for design. For whatever reason, the print he has shows an existing line that we were connecting into as non-potable water. We thought it was clean water. We thought it was city water, because they do not want plant water, effluent water going to the digester building. So we had it shown to this existing line that was labeled incorrectly. So we need to extend it so that it can get to the city water line, I guess, prior to the backflow preventer in the control building.
Any questions for Denise?
Well, why did they use your plan?
They did.
But I thought your plan showed it and they're saying it doesn't show it or something like that.
All the digital plans that I have came from Pogemeyer. So why they didn't have that particular one, for whatever reason, I couldn't know.
Denise, can you answer that?
No, I don't have an answer for that. I mean, we were not able to find it in our file. I don't know if it got combined with another one and it, deleted. I mean, it was not obviously intentional by any means. We weren't able to find it. We searched for it and we actually went through our backup tapes from 4 years ago when we would have put those in originally, and we were not able to find it on the original either.
Do you have it on your original, Randy?
Yeah.
Isn't that sufficient?
So we did provide the original to the engineer. So yes, I agree it's sufficient. We don't know where, and I especially don't, I'm sure Randy doesn't, correct me if I'm wrong, but where, at what point it got lost or flipped or switched from what we show on our plans. And that's what Denise is trying to explain, I think, is they can't find where they had it original and where it flipped. So it changed at some point incorrectly and should not have. Unfortunately, this is not the fault of the contractor. I'm not saying it's our fault either, but it is something that happened and was not caught until we actually went to install the line.
Well, since it's a half and half issue, why don't we just pay half? I'm not trying to be a smart aleck here, but if you have it and they don't have it, and it looks like it's a shared responsibility, I'm just asking that question.
Yeah, no, fair. My concern is it's not, the contractor was following the plans they received from the engineer. So in this case, I would have a concern going to them and saying you have to pay for half of something that you have no control over.
Because it's the contractor versus.
Right, they were following the plans per the engineer's specs.
So perhaps then Pogemeyer can
I would defer to Denise on that.
That's, I obviously have to go above my head. I obviously can't make that call. I mean, I know that my supervisors would probably say, well, if it was on the original project, it would have been that additional cost anyways. You know, we went through how many operators, how many village administrators and everything else. So I guess I have no idea when it changed or how it got changed. It was, you know, was not found by anybody reviewing the plans. But if you feel that we need to pay half of that, I would have to get my supervisors involved with that discussion. I can't make that decision.
I'd like to see if perhaps we could have that discussion about that particular amount.
I doubt that would ever fly, but it would be nice if Hogemeyer themselves, if they had hours in redesigning or, you know, talking this stuff over with the contractors and working on the plans, that they wouldn't bill us for that sort of portion. That I would argue for. I mean, these are just
I know.
on a project that scale, you're always gonna miss something here and there, and
I
I get the
understand.
frustration with that, but correct, they had the prints, they didn't read them properly or didn't, you know, transfer them properly. So anything, any time that was spent on that project or that portion of the project by Hogemeyer would hopefully be not charged to us.
Well, perhaps that's something that we can consider that. Did you hear all that, Denise?
Yeah, but I guess we haven't been charging you guys. If you look at the bills, our bills are strictly for Ken McGowan's time in the field. We have not been charging you guys for any office time for quite a few months now. Our contract, I mean, you have to realize how much time we put in dealing with LaSalle and all of their requests for extras and all of their RFIs and all of their, you know, contract delays and everything else. And the invoices that we've been supplying to Danielle have only been for Ken's time on the plant time.
Yeah, this is what contingency funds are designed for.
I understand. It's just, I'm making the point that, you know what,
I think Hogemeyer's been a good partner for us. So.
All right, then we have,
And I just, sorry,
Go ahead.
I do want to add that, I mean, this being brought up is in no way intended to throw Hogemeyer under the bus.
No.
But I do want to be fair to the contractor who has had numerous change orders and, you know, recently had one denied. That I didn't want this to also be another check against them or something that came back on them. So that was, I mean, and again, to just always be honest too, but I do want to just, I guess, throw that out there.
well, I was just trying to save a couple bucks. And I know it's a big old whopping scope of things. I know it's millions of dollars. I also know $2,000 is $2,000. And if you can help us somewhere else, we'll use it somewhere else. I'm trying to be fiscally responsible.
I move to approve the change order number 10. The amount of $27,959.65 for the extension of a non-potable water line and underslab encasement, and authorize the village administrator to execute all documents related to the change order on behalf of the governing body.
I'll support that.
motion has been moved and supported. Will you call the roll?
I got a question for Denise
Yeah, go.
regarding the 27,000, or I guess the request for that concrete, the underslab concrete in the conduit.
Yes.
What was the original price that they wanted us to pay on that?
Almost 30, I think it was 28,000. We got them down 5,000.
Because my question, look at the line items, whatnot, concrete blankets, the heater, you know, there's no way they can use 200 gallons to heat that concrete. And wouldn't those blankets, that sort of stuff be on site already? Isn't that already
Yeah,
out
so
there?
those were the exact questions. And I think Randy and Danielle were in on all those emails that were going back and forth. Their reason for the extended time, because we said that as well, is that they had to heat it up for a week or two, the surrounding area prior to that, because it's in the frost, right at the frost level. And so that's why it was longer, because we're like, okay, that should be like 3 days or so, you know. So that was their reasoning for that. And as for the blankets, the ones they had on site were already being used or were not being effective. They were worn out or whatever. And so that's why they had to bring additional ones in, because this area was not, and it truly was not originally planned that we were going to have to do this. That was something that unfortunately we have to follow what the building code people, what they want, or they aren't going to approve it. So that was not included originally, to have, you know, the number of blankets or whatever that they needed. But we did, those two issues we brought up to them.
Okay, so I guess looking at the big picture, then they bid this project assuming it was gonna be a whatever month timeline build. And again, we're nickel and diming the stuff that we're talking about due to weather issues. So how often does this happen, Denise, that you guys are working with other municipalities, other projects to where they're starting to say, well, we're gonna charge this additional cost to you due to weather, rather than go back and say, well, the original scope of the project, the original contract should have been this amount and taken into consideration.
Well,
the-
that's exact, right. That's exactly the conversation we had with them for their whole delay. The whole project as a whole is the whole delay. We're like, well, there was going to be work done over the winter. And then that's when they said, so that part that you just talked about is the discussions we've had in the overall project with all the delays that they've asked for, their compensation for delaying, and they didn't expect to be doing this through the winter. So that goes, hand in hand with that portion. This additional portion, I guess you could say it's the same way. I mean, if they would have been getting everything when they were supposed to, this would have been encountered in September, October, maybe beginning of November, and they shouldn't have needed the concrete blankets then. So it's kind of the same issue that we're going through with that whole other big issue. So I guess I don't know. Other contractors, no. I mean, if we didn't have a completion date till July, then they would have built that in to their project. It's, you know what I mean? We wouldn't have been kind of like we're already fighting with LaSalle about the other stuff that, well, you should have had that included. You should have figured that's what you're going to be doing.
Right, and again, like I said at a previous meeting, I just see us, at the end of the project, if we go over our due date, our drop dead date, or whatever we're discussing with the state, with Eagle, any kind of fees or fines for not making the drop dead date, again, we're gonna be fighting with the contractor about those sort of, or that sort of money, and how do we, go back on them for that. I will recommend that we would be seeking any damages or any fines that they go past that Eagle's gonna, put on us. So again, I want to see the project continue to move forward, but it's starting to get frustrating whether nickel and dime us on this stuff.
Agree.
Thanks for your information, Denise. We have
You're welcome.
You have anything else? Oh, okay.
Well,
Anyway.
I guess while we're still talking about it, we had the previous change order as well that we had denied at the last meeting. So how's the discussion on that? Well, Denise is speaking on. Because we still have to address that at some point, right?
So the contractor has been notified and they did ask me about that. So at this time, what we have they have this large kind of overall increase that they have unofficially requested. It's not been in the form of a change order that I've been keeping you guys included in. So that would merge with that, is my understanding, because I did talk to legal about this. So you guys denied it. They've been put on notice. They've already paid. They're still working at this point. Just as recent as, my days are blurring together. I'm so sorry. I think it was last week or the week before, I had sent them a response letter to the overall. So, I mean, they know at this point that the village has been holding pretty firm that we are saying no to the large request. And that would include that portion. And, we're working with them on time and with them and Eagle. I will have another meeting with Eagle coming up here in the next month and a half. We'll keep them posted on that. So at this point, the ball's in their court as to what their next step or course of action they want to take place. And I'll keep you guys posted if we learn anything.
Thank you.
Can you call the roll on that motion as presented?
Gwen,
No,
Barb,
just make it a point.
yes. Jerry,
No.
Frank,
Sadly, yes.
James,
Yes.
Tim,
No.
Bob,
Yes. The motion carried.
yes.
Thanks. Action item 5, approve wastewater treatment plant upgrade payment.
Council, this is a payment actually just for the engineers at this point. I don't have I did receive a contractor's payout, but that won't be coming to you until later. They have several invoices on here for the past few months and the total amount of $20,677.70. I am recommending that we go ahead and start processing this with USDA and get them paid on this, but if you have questions for Denise and I, let me know, or Randy.
I move to approve engineering invoices in the amount of $20,677.70 in connection with the Village of Blissfield wastewater treatment plant project upgrade and authorize the village administrator to execute all documents related to this payment.
Support.
Motion's been moved and supported. Are there any questions? Any comments? If not, you can call the roll on that motion as presented.
Tim,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Jerry,
Yes.
Barb. Yes. Gwen,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
Bob,
Yes, that motion carried. Action item 6, approve legal services RFP.
I'll make a motion to advertise the request for proposals for legal services as presented.
Support. Moved and supported to advertise a request for proposals for legal services as presented. Comments or questions? Now you can call the roll, Lisa.
Barb,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Gwen,
Yes.
Jerry,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Bob,
Yes, that motion carried. Action item 7, approve tax abatement policy.
Council, this is just creating something we've already done in the past and formalizing it in a policy. The big push and the reason that I worked on this is for RRC. One of the requirements is that we have an incentive policy for our village to help bring in different development. Those incentives can be achieved a couple different ways. You can do tax credits, you can do brownfield, waive local fees. We've done IFTs in the past, or industrial facilities tax, so it made sense to me just to use that same one. We can always down the road talk about others, but at least help us meet that RRC requirement. I actually pulled this on the RRC website. They have numerous resources and different examples. So I ripped off and duplicated and just made the policy match our community.
You're so honest, Daniel.
Yes. I know I should take the credit next time, no. But if you guys have any changes or questions on this, let me know.
We used to do this back in the day before we had a spreadsheet of, this many jobs created, this much investment, that sort of thing,
Yes.
anywhere between 0 to 12 years. And then lately, council's kind of just handed them out the 12-year, it's a dog eat dog economy. We're all struggling to try to bring in the 200 person, employee jobs. So I get why we were doing that as such. But again, I think having that spreadsheet set in place is the fallback if they don't commit to their promise. So I think we should be going back on these businesses, and I think we really should be taking a look at, are they investing the amounts that they say they were? Are they bringing in the jobs? Are they retaining the jobs that they said they were, rather than just handling that 12-year period? So, I mean, is that the spreadsheet that you're talking about to look at and say, okay, if they're going to invest $5 million or whatever, or bring in 50 jobs instead of 300, that they get a 6-year versus a 12-year, or
So this policy, it just goes through the process of how they would apply, how they would be approved, and it does talk about the reporting. And when I first started, I was asked to look into our current IFTs. It did take me a little bit, but I had emailed you guys probably a couple months ago now. So we currently, Euclid has 2, and then L&W has 1 that is currently within the village. They're required to do reports to the village, including the information you just referenced, every 2 years. They were supposed to have done one in the year of 2020. I was not able to find where they ever filed one. And since it was already so late and we were so close to them being required to in 2022, I had said, let's just move forward at this point instead of trying to make up for what we missed in the past and then having them redo it again. So I already have those letters prepared. I'll send them a reminder, giving them some time to submit it. And then as soon as I get those reports and that updated information, I will share that with council.
Are they supposed to automatically send those reports, or do we send a request for the report every year?
So they, per the way it's written, they are supposed to send them. However, what I was able to find is historically, we have always sent a reminder letter to them saying, hey, don't forget this report. We want to see it. Here's the basic information that needs to be included. And I'm sure just with the change and everything that had happened that year, it was missed.
And to be honest with you, I thought BMC had one as well, and I think they definitely defaulted on that promise, so.
Blissfield. So that, I did actually have another council member had asked me specifically, I cannot find anything. I couldn't find anything on them when I did the research before. And then when I was asked about it again, I did go back and look just to make sure that there was nothing that I had missed. And if they did have one, I believe it's expired, because I even went to the state and I cannot find anything registered for them. If anybody has other information that would say otherwise, please let me know and I'll look into it definitely. Or if you have something, I can't find anything on that. I can't even find the old one if it is expired.
Okay.
So do we have a motion, Lisa? No.
Make a motion to approve the policy as presented, making it effective February 15, 2022.
Support. Moved and supported to approve the policy as presented, making it effective February 15th, 2022. Any other comments? Now you can call the roll, Lisa.
James,
Yes.
Jerry,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Gwen,
Yes.
Barb, yes. Tim,
Yes.
Bob,
Yes. The motion carried. Action item 8, adopt zoning board of appeals rules of procedures.
So this is another RRC item. Our boards are, one of their tasks or requirements is that all of our boards have rules of procedure. Per our ordinance, the council is actually the zoning board of appeals. However, it's still required to have separate rules than council because of the type of applications that you guys receive. So again, I won't take credit. I ripped off and duplicated and just there's people doing it really good already. But if you guys have any changes, otherwise, get these on the website and use them in the event we get an application.
Move to approve the zoning board of appeals rules of procedures as presented.
support.
Moved and supported to approve the zoning board of appeals rules of procedure as presented. Any other comments, questions?
The only comment that I would like to make is, Danielle, it certainly seems as if these RRC tasks, that there's certainly a lot of them, but at the same token, they are helping us to organize and streamline and get things into where the position that they need to be put in. So I certainly appreciate all the work that you, as well as your team in the office, are doing on this. It is much appreciated.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You can call the roll, Lisa.
Barb, yes. Gwen,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Jerry,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
Bob,
Yes, motion carried. Action item 9, adopt construction board of appeals rules or procedure.
So similar to what we just did, the construction board does the appeals specifically to the building code and or would appeal the decision or could appeal the decision of any of our inspectors. Whereas the zoning would be a zoning appeal, a little bit different, but we do, the city of Tecumseh shared theirs, they have a construction board. We have vacancies, public, if you're interested, but hopefully this will help check off fully. All of our boards will now have rules if these are adopted and check one more thing off our RC.
Move to approve the construction board of appeals rules of procedure as presented.
Support.
Moved and supported to approve the construction board of appeals rules of procedure as presented. Any other comments? You can call the roll, Lisa.
Mike,
Yes.
Gwen,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
Barb, yes. Tim,
Yes.
Jerry,
Yes.
Bob,
Yes, motion carried. Action item 10, approve public participation plan.
I move to approve the public participation plan as presented.
support.
Moved and supported to approve the public participation plan as presented. Question?
Will you be driving this, Danielle?
So it'll actually be all of staff. McKenna will help us kind of implement this. So this is actually affects a couple different things. It affects our RRC, but it also will help the DDA in some of their TIF renewal and different projects they have. And I want to thank McKenna for all their work on this and all of the boards. Every board, the Planning Commission, Parks and Recreation, and DDA boards all reviewed this and recommended it to council. So they spent a lot of work on it. So a huge thank you to those board members. And then this plan was funded through MEDC. So it wasn't any cost out of the village funds. But it will be a fluid document too. So I foresee some of this maybe not working as the plan intended, and we will be able to tweak and modify to make sure it's fitting our needs and achieving public participation and not just fluff.
I'll call the roll then.
Jerry,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Barb, yes. James,
Yes.
Gwen,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Bob,
Yes, the motion carried. Action item 11, consider continuing employment of Jeff McCurdy with the Blissfield Water Treatment Plant. Sorry if I mispronounced your name.
You did well.
So before we make any statements or anything, I just want to make sure that Jeff knows that we are able to go into closed session for this only at his request. Are you wanting that, or are you good with open? Okay, just wanted to make sure. So Nora provided quite a bit of information that's attached for you guys. I'm not sure if you had a chance to look at it, and then I provided some of my own. It's been past practice that when employees fail the certification test after 2 tries that they're let go. There's no written policy that says that that's the requirement. Jeff is a really good employee. He does an exceptional job out there, and he helps with a lot of the different maintenance aspects, things like that. And I hate to see us lose a good employee because, maybe he gets anxious during tests, or I know it would make me nervous. So I would like to propose that rather than letting him go, that we demote him to a maintenance operator at our water treatment plant. In the future, just kind of reference, I do think that it would be good for the village to have a testing standard. I did reach out to Eagle and talk to them, and Nora and I have talked about this a little bit. It would be something that we would put in our policy that we're working on now with staff. But I would like to propose that we align with what Eagle allows. So they give an operator starts, they want us to apply for a provisional license within 6 months of them starting. The provisional license is good for a year, and then they can get a 1-year extension. But that, again, is kind of down the road, just as information for you guys. Again, my recommendation is to keep him employed as a maintenance operator. If you have questions for myself, Nora, or him, I'll be happy to
How long
answer.
has this unwritten rule been in place?
I don't know. I don't want to tell you wrong. I'm not sure. It has been since you've been.
As long as I have been here, the fear of death was put into me that I had 2 tries. If I didn't pass, you were done. So when that came up in our situation, I looked for this. Like, where's my policy on this? Looked in the handbook, it's not there. Looked at what he applied for that was posted by Joe. It was not in that. It just said able to, with no time frame. So, and also Jeff started in the middle of COVID, so they did not give tests one of those rounds. So Jeff has had less tries in that time frame than other people have. So.
And I did talk to David, I'm sorry, I almost said the wrong name, about this too, just to make sure, because what we have done in the past, and because there's no written policy, there's no legal concerns with our recommendation either.
Again, this is kind of what we're doing with getting employee policies put into place.
Yeah, absolutely.
So my question is, will you be wanting to hire someone down the road
No. No, right now how the plant is
to
running,
run the plant operation?
no, right now how the plant's running,
Mhm.
I will not need that. Jeff is already my main hands on any projects I have going. I touch base with him on what we can do as a team. So no, I have 3 other licensed operators beside myself. And that's plenty right now. We're only running a plant roughly 8 hours a day. So even on the weekends, we have double coverage, so we don't have to worry about that. And it'll be nice that maybe I can move Jeff a little bit with what projects are going on, or he would be my main kind of project lead, and he does most of that. I think you saw, like, when we were talking about the fiberglass, and Jeff did all of that. Rewiring all of that new vendor we did he did all of the electrical on that. So he's definitely,
Andy,
yes.
And two, Jeff does still currently have his provisional license, so he's able to be at the plant right now and meet Eagle's requirements. And he is intending to take this test and does want to pass it in the future. In the event that he doesn't pass and that provisional license expires, he can still work at the plant. He would just have to do so with another employee that's licensed present. But hopefully, again, he intends to take the test again, I believe, until he passes, and correct me if I'm wrong. So I don't have any concerns that he's just gonna be like, oh, we're good, done trying. So
No, we already applied for May 4th, so.
And you were so very close. I was looking at your. Serious, I know.
Literally like one question.
Exactly, yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah.
so.
So that was my concern. I wanted him to have another opportunity to take it again. I think we owe him that.
I just want to hear that you're going to take it.
Yeah, May 4th, and
Good.
Yeah, I agree.
he's been starting up, we got classes tomorrow.
So this
too.
doesn't impact our budget. We've already got his position budgeted. What does this demotion, and I don't even want to call it demotion, what is this new lateral? Yes, or new title change? What does this do financially? Impact on Jeff?
financially, there's no impact. We're laterally transferring him. He has a new title. So instead of being a water plant operator, he's a maintenance operator.
Okay, I move to approve the lateral move of Jeff McCurdy from water treatment plant operator to water treatment maintenance operator based on his, I don't know what is his word. Yeah, based on him unsuccessfully obtaining proper certifications. Here it is. Hard stuff.
Do you have that, Lisa?
Yes.
Because you kind of fixed it a little bit. To the good, support, supported.
Who supported?
Okay, sorry, it was very quiet.
Yeah.
Could you read that for us, Lisa, just to clarify?
Move to approve, and you didn't want demotion.
The lateral movement, or lateral move of Jeff McCurdy
From water treatment plant operator to water treatment maintenance operator based on his unsuccessful
attempt to obtain proper certification. Some to that effect. Don't want to strike the word failure.
yes, I did, to obtain the proper certifications for his job performance.
Good.
Did you want the job performance on there as well?
Well, I think
It's job requirement, not performance.
There you go,
Right,
there you go,
right.
requirements would be a better word.
Okay.
there you go.
So can you call the roll on that
Alright,
motion?
I got a
as-
question.
yeah.
So I guess your dialogue wasn't real clear. I was trying to read it. Is he taking it one time or taking it twice? Taking it twice.
We got the same score both times.
The intent is to continue trying to get that position.
I'm happy with the job as maintenance, but I enjoy the science and everything involved with the licensing, so I definitely would like to try to make that happen.
Because that's the ideal position that we would want you to fill. That's why we hired you to do it. And obviously, we originally had a maintenance person at the plant back in the day, yes. Worked his way over. So that did kind of open up that spot. But technically, down the line, it's our job to be fiscally responsible for the citizens. And we know that water's a disaster right now. The thing is, if the ethanol plant comes back online, then you may be wanting to look at another operator, correct?
Yeah.
And then that to me is a problem, because then we're adding another position that we originally didn't have. So I get where we're at right now, and obviously I want you to succeed. I mean, you're so close, just keep at it. I have utmost faith in you, but I think we need to also hold stead that, you know, we expect that test to be taken and to hopefully be achieved. Because otherwise, if we're looking at another operating position, we're looking at adding another, you know, benefits, whatnot, $80,000, you know, to our water system, and that we can't do.
Yeah, I think if there's anything that we can help you with that. I had the same problem in college.
I get it.
Anxiety from tests.
Absolutely.
And so, no, you're a very good employee. I don't want to lose you. And I appreciate the amended motion, James. Very good. So can you call the roll on that motion as amended?
Barb? Yes. Tim?
Yes.
Gwen?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
James?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes, and motion carried.
Thank you, council, for supporting that.
Thank you.
Welcome.
And thank you, Nora, for your input as well.
Action item 12, resignation of Community Service Director Heather March.
This stinks. I'm happy for, no, I just, a huge thank you to Heather for everything that she's done. I am very excited for her moving into her new position. It's something that's just gonna be better for her family. I'm incredibly sad to see her leave the village. The DDA board has accepted, or what, I guess if you'll call it that, and has posted the position, so this is just our formal process. Her last day will be Friday as well. I think that's in there.
Then I'll make a motion to accept with regret the resignation of Heather Marks, with her last day being February 18th, 2022.
Support.
Moving to support to accept the resignation of Heather Marks as her last day,
Is our plan to,
being February 18th, 2022.
is our plan to fill the role?
So at this time, the DDA board did agree to post the position. And I guess I should have talked about this a little bit too. I apologize. It is just the DDA position. It does not include the Parks and Recreation, which I did tell the board I would highly recommend we split at this point. Heather did a fantastic job, so I in no way want this to sound any negative against her, but it's a lot for one person. I do have some ideas that I'm not quite ready to present to council because I want to make sure I give you guys the full picture when I present that, but it will be in the very near future. I'm thinking the March 14th meeting, what we could do for that position moving forward with the Parks and Rec. So how this will, I envision it'll go, it's actually not, this position's not included in our hiring policy, is that we will take the applications that closes on March 4th. The DDA board will do the interviews, review all the applications, they'll make a recommendation to council, and then you guys will have the final approval. Something that the DDA board, they talked about a few things. If they post the position, does that obligate them to filling it? If they feel like they don't get the applicant that they're looking for, it does not. Again, at this point, the intent is hopefully to fill it, but there will be some additional information I'll provide the DDA board. And then I will share that with you guys too. I just want to be fair and make sure I get it to them ahead of time and don't blindside them.
Just an observation I'm making, I'm hearing DDA board versus DDA Main Street board.
Yeah,
I just wanted to clarify.
It is DDA Main Street
I just
board.
wanted,
Yes,
I wanted
thank you.
double check I wasn't misunderstanding something there.
Yes.
My only comment is I wish Heather would have talked or given some notice to council prior to reading about it in the newspaper. I personally did not appreciate that. That's how I heard about it, and I would have liked to know a little bit in a different manner through the process. I think that would have been a little nicer. But Heather, if you're there, you did a really good job, and I hope you know that. I don't know if she's talking into the wind, if she's on there or not. Yes.
And I will apologize for my role in not letting council know before the advance came out, so.
You got the scoop.
They do. They were too fast.
Well, they had to know that by somebody telling them that.
All right, you can call the roll.
Barb,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Barry,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
Gwen,
Yes.
Bob,
Yes, the motion carried. Action item 13, administrator and employee evaluation form.
So at our last meeting, we talked about the administrator evaluation. And what I had indicated is I was just hoping to be able to at least start talking about it. My evaluation will be due in July of this year. And what I didn't want to happen is that we got to July and you guys were like, Danielle, why haven't you done this? And I'm standing there like, why? I didn't know I was supposed to. So we created a subcommittee. We looked at the examples that I provided to council last time and went through the questions. I really am excited about the evaluation for the administrator that we're presenting to you guys, because not only does it have the evaluation, but it has just one pager. This is how we're going to do it, so that in the future, there's a standard, the administrator, whether it be me or somebody else, knows exactly what council is going to evaluate them on and what the expectations are. So I'm really happy with this. Of course, you guys can make any changes that you would like. The other part to this is that we had talked about making a unified evaluation for the employees. The subcommittee and I talked about this, and my position just varies so much from the other employees that it didn't make sense to have mine that matched theirs or vice versa. So we had created just an employee one. I did reach out to all of the department heads asking for some feedback, and most of them are using a form already that I've included. It's a little bit different based on the departments. The feedback I received from them is that it's working really well. The employees like it, the department heads like it. So I would propose that we leave the employee evaluations as they are. And that'll be the standard for all of the employees, and then approve the new administrator evaluation form and process.
And you are obviously comfortable, you're stating, with the employees with this evaluation as well.
Yes.
Okay. Okay,
I am, yes.
okay. I heard that, yes. Okay.
All right,
Yeah.
motion.
Make a motion to approve the administrator and employee evaluations as presented.
Support.
Move to approve the administrator and employee evaluations as presented. Any other comments on that motion?
Just a nice job, team that did this, Bert and Jerry and Tim. Thank you for doing that.
We call the roll, Lisa.
Tim,
Yes.
Jerry,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Gwen,
Yes.
Barb,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
Bob,
Yes, that motion carried. On to reports. Administrator. Any questions for Danielle?
Oh, the Ragged Township Hall meeting taking place next week. Is that gonna be Zoomed? I had a resident ask me, I said, was not sure how that was being handled.
I actually had asked Natalie, their clerk, about that and have not heard back from her yet. So I am hopeful that it will be, but I will definitely let you guys know. Because I'm just not familiar with their facility and if that's available.
Okay, thank you.
Police Department, she's not here. Treasurer. Any questions for treasurer?
And I do think Chief's on Zoom if you have
Oh, it's on Zoom.
questions. Yes.
Any questions for Chief Greenleaf?
I just want to tell them thank you for the yearly report. Well, thorough and good information to see.
All right. Treasurer, any questions for Brandon?
Again, that was one of the, I had a couple questions for Brandon and he answered them, responded to them in email, and that was shared with all of us as well. Thanks, Brandon. We're doing pretty good on some things, aren't we? There's good news happening. Yes, there is, despite all the bad news that's out there, there's good news. Thank you.
Building and planning, see that. Interior work to end in June 2022. Reports will be back in May. On to the next item, council discussion. Does council want the agenda as it is?
I like how the agenda is laid out today, please. That's my 2 cents. That's what you're asking for, correct?
Yes, we were supposed to talk about it at the last meeting and all of my excitement to get off Zoom, I guess I spaced it, so I apologize for that. So at the last meeting, I had, I told you guys we would kind of revert back to how it was done previously, so you could see that again. And then this meeting, we're back to how we have been doing it since I've been here. So I just making sure, again, this is council's agenda. My preference and staff's preference is the way it's presented to you guys today. Lisa and I actually had a phone call with iCompass, and if we continue to do it the way that it is today, we actually are able to use that program as no extra charge. We're already paying for it to create the minutes, which will save staff a ton of time. It'll be more efficient. They'll match the agenda a little bit better as well. And then the big reason that we made this change was to be able to make sure that the citizens had more information. And with it on the agenda, I feel like they do. I won't speak for them, but again, it's your agenda. So if you guys want it a different way, we'll accommodate. So
I'm good with the way you have it.
I'm very good with this too.
I'm set.
I'm set as well.
Okay.
I just prefer a little bit of spacing in between the next motion. It's a little tight.
That's the program. I'm sorry.
So then I'm going back to the old.
I'll mess with it and see if there's not some formatting I can do.
Yeah, between line items, just one.
Just one extra, yeah, perfect, right?
If I may add something to council discussion, something else that we did not talk about when we were together last. I'd actually talked with Tim regarding organizing the person to lead in the opening prayers. It was something that Bob and I had talked about as well. And I just felt that that was something that Tim has a little bit of knowledge in. So Tim is going to go ahead with everybody's permission here to continue to line up our speakers for the opening prayer. And I'm assuming everybody was okay with that, since you don't have to do it and Tim is.
I appreciate it.
I asked her for lining up the speaker.
Esther did it. Did you do it, Esther?
She lines up my messages too. Just leave that if you want to.
Yeah.
I have a question. Can I ask a question that's on here?
Yeah.
About the forensic audit. Is that okay to ask that right here or not?
You can ask. We'll see what the response.
Well, I was surprised too, like, Gwen was about Heather's information coming out in the paper. The forensic audit came out in the paper too, and I had no idea what was happening. So I don't know if President Bob Valdez knows or can share information with us.
I found out the same way you did.
Okay.
So I don't have anything that I can share with council, but I will say that I do understand feeling like the paper had put out information that you were not aware of. However, I would say that that's in part to the paper knowing who to call and getting that information. The information that was published in the paper is public information. The village, the reason that you weren't notified is because I didn't know either, Phil didn't know. And the reason for that is that we have purposely, we've stayed out of it. We've not been contacting the Michigan State Police in an effort to make sure that we are not having any impact on the investigation. It is an open, ongoing investigation for the village. So it's our job to let the Michigan State Police do their job. As we've said all along, at the time that we are able to make a statement, we will do so. Our intent is not to not tell the citizens what's going on or what has happened. It's just, we do not want to impede with that investigation.
I'm okay with the paper putting that information in there. In fact, I'm glad that they did. Is there a way, so if I do a little research, I can find out on my own too?
You could, absolutely.
So I can do some research, get the right numbers and call people. So it's been turned over to the county prosecutor. Are we going to pay the county prosecutor to do whatever they have to do also on top of what we've already paid?
We paid Plant Moran for the audit. We don't pay the Michigan State Police or the prosecutor.
Okay, so all the money's been paid out for this forensic audit.
It's been approved. I've not received the final invoice to be paid, but you have approved and that portion is completed of the forensic audit that the village paid for.
And according to the paper, it could be a week, it could be 3-6 weeks before we get the final results of that audit.
Yeah, I don't know the time frame. That is solely within the Michigan State Police and the prosecutor's office. I couldn't even begin to guess what that time frame is.
Okay. All right, thank you.
All right, thanks, Tim.
I have one quick question. Have we heard anything on county ARP money?
I did let you guys know that the county was meeting last week, the subcommittee, and then it would still have to go to the actual commissioners. I've not received any updates after that meeting. I know they've been struggling to meet, but as soon as I hear anything on that, I'll let you know. But the county did say it would probably be a little bit longer than they had initially anticipated.
Thank you.
Did that change from the original? I know Darwin had talked back in the day, right around 300,000. Is that still true from the feds, or are you talking about different on top of the county?
So the county is completely different than ours. They received, it was about 19 million total, and we requested the million. We did, the amount Darwin gave you was pretty accurate. We had just last week received an additional check for our first payment. It was $600 some, so not much from the entities that did not file for their ARP money.
Can you believe that they didn't file?
I know, but we've so far only received our first payment. Can you refresh my memory when our second one? Right, but when's the second payment? Do you remember? I'm drawing a blank.
It's next summer, isn't it?
I was thinking September too, but, so. Yeah. So this is a project that's on my radar that I'm not going to let go. I've not brought it to you guys, which has been on purpose, because there's so many different funds coming through right now that I want to make sure whatever we decide to do, that we get as much matching or grant funding or whatever we can to maximize this money as much as possible. So it's actually being recommended not to jump on this and spend it immediately. The state of Michigan got a huge chunk of money. As far as I know, I've been watching it. They've not officially decided how they're going to distribute or help the communities with that, but there's been some different options. So I just want to make sure we don't spend the money and then miss out on the opportunity to match it with, I mean, even if it's 100,000, then we're doing a little bit more, so.
Well, we have X amount of time to propose the project and then X amount of time to complete the project,
Correct.
so. And it's years.
Yeah,
Not that many.
It's
2023 is.
2026.
No, it's 2026.
I think
Yeah.
2023 is the proposed.
They
project.
also just changed the rules again, and they're talking about for what you can use the ARP funding for, and they're talking about modifying them even more. So when this first started, they were pretty strict. I mean, really, we were looking at infrastructure was gonna be the easiest, most clear thing we could use it on. They've now said if you got under $10 million, which we clearly did, they opened it up quite a bit. I mean, we could even, right now, you can do a formula and put that towards operating. Not saying that's what we should do, but again, it's on my project list. I just want to make sure that we watch this evolve and get those matching funds. So hopefully we'll have some different opportunity. I did talk to National League of Cities, but unfortunately they were doing a free program that I was really hoping we could be a part of, but they're only doing that for communities that have a population of 10,000 or more. So it kicked us out.
If we had not connected with the commissioners, do you think it's too late to talk with them? I think I asked that question before.
I do not. I was concerned when you had asked the question before, because initially they were looking at mid-January.
Right.
But since the subcommittee has been struggling to meet and have a quorum, I think you would still be able to reach out to them.
Would you be so kind as to send us the names / phone numbers once again on that?
Yes.
I would love to I think it would behoove us, all of us to connect with them. I know, Bob, you have, but I have not. It's one of those things that putting on my list and doesn't get quite there. So if you could do that, that would be appreciative, and I will make that calls plural starting this week. Thank you.
They're very supportive when you call them too.
What is there something special, Danielle, I should say when I make this phone call? Is there some buzzwords I should be saying?
I would just, if you let them know you're calling about the ARP funding and that the village submitted an application, and that we just appreciate any consideration. We submitted multiple projects, so we would be ecstatic or pleased to have any of those projects. We're not looking for an all or nothing approval. But I mean, preferably we get it all.
What was our total we asked for?
1 million.
Okay. Good, thank you for that, that's helpful.
Is there anything else on council discussion?
Yeah, I'll try and make it quick. We're over a quarter or a third of the way through the year. And I know Gwen had talked about this back during budget talks, and as ugly as it is, we're talking about inflation being around 6-7% and with water rates and that sort of stuff. Sorry, what was the gentleman that we hired to do our study?
Jerry,
Sorry, I recommend that we follow inflation. And we need to be cautious of, our chemicals are going up, our, employment is gonna go up. So again, how do we work with Nora, how do we work with Randy and say, okay, we're seeing this sort of increase being added to our cost to produce the water and clean the sewage. Again, we're trying to set that money aside that the DEQs require us to do. So again, we may need to look at rates and the changes and potential.
I think I want to piggyback on that too, Mike, as well, because is it Blissfield, who's no longer getting the water from us? It's gonna be 18,000 less a year.
Blissfield manufacturing.
Okay, so if we,
That's not happened yet. But
it hasn't
sounds like
happened
it's
yet,
going.
but that's something that we really need to look at that. What's where I want to use maybe foresight, because that was one of the things, I know we didn't want to raise it even the 1%. But I just went, oh my gosh, there's 18 grand that we're gonna have less, and any business that isn't open can go ahead and turn off their water, and that will have an impact on every resident. And so I really think we need to rethink that as well. I hate to say it, Mike, as well, but I will very clearly say right now that next year I will vote for an increase in the water rate raise, simply because it has to happen, or we will get screwed in the end again, like we just had happen in the year 2021.
And we don't have to raise a percentage or 2 percentage points. We can raise a flat dollar amount as well.
Correct.
Because to
okay.
spread that $18,000 loss
Yes,
evenly over.
but we have to think proactive, or we're gonna be,
You're not, no, I'm just saying,
We're
we
gonna
don't,
get
we don't
messed up
have to
again.
make a general increase of 1 or
Yes.
2%. We can make a flat dollar increase.
I understand.
And two, just as a refresher, when we had that conversation, part of the motion was that I would work with Mr. Holland with Michigan Rural Water to do an amendment or reevaluation of the water rates study that in the sewer rate study. So he and I have that tentatively scheduled. We're going to start in May, which is the time that he actually specifically said would be the best for his schedule and line up with what our needs are. So I have that on my calendar. When we go into the budget year, we'll be talking about looking at those studies and making sure that whatever we do is appropriate and lines up with what our needs are.
Right, it's just as like when businesses close, if they close for a couple months, I can't blame them to go ahead and say, hey, you know what? We're shutting down from the water, and that does, like I said, and I'm repeating, but that impacts all of us. And I just don't want us to come in that same mess that we were in before.
Yeah, and it is, our inflation rate for January was 7.5%.
And there's obviously gonna be a lot more discussion. I don't want to tie it up, but we're talking with Rygon, and I've got questions as to why originally we charged the out of town double rate. That to me, looking at the percentage, they're like 0.5% of our yearly income. So again, I've been talking about unit pricing for the past year and a half now. I think May is I guess if that works best for him, but we're pretty sure that the ethanol plant's not gonna fire up. So we have a lot of these questions answered that we didn't have before. But again, we don't want to be in the same position that we were in, last year at this time, so.
And we are meeting with Valero and Lenawee now in Riga in a couple weeks. I
You
don't
want with
recall.
Valero?
Yes. So we'll be talking about the plant. I'll provide, I don't have any information right now, but I'm hopeful that we'll get something, so I will let you guys know.
But you're getting further than a lot of other people have gotten. Good for you.
Well, no, I cannot take the credit. Lenawee now has been instrumental in getting
Good.
these contacts and getting the meeting set up, so.
But that's always good to hear, because Illinois now, we do pay to have that service. And so that's good to hear that that's coming in.
Yeah, I mean, they truly, like, I'm just showing up, so it's been them, but
No, that's good to
I'm
hear.
glad that it sounds like we're gonna bring the, you know, the players to the table and have that conversation.
Okay.
So I know I'm not counsel, but I do have one thing. I had emailed you guys last week in my weekly update, that I will be missing 2 council meetings for a vacation that I had planned before I started. And I'll be missing March 28th and then April 11th. So I had proposed that we cancel the April 11th meeting. I've been for a while now planning to be gone and making sure that everything's lined up. The March 28th meeting, I will be able to help staff get any agenda items on there. I don't have anything for the 11th right now. We were making sure that we coordinated to keep that pretty light, but I just don't want to put any added stress or work on the employees while I'm already gone. So I'm just wanted to bring it up to see if you would be in favor of us canceling that, unless of course there's some urgent thing that would change that, but pending nothing emergent.
Canceling the April 11th meeting.
Yes.
Do you need a motion for that then, Danielle, at all?
Just if you general consensus, because you guys didn't, we put out our schedule, but you guys didn't approve it. So generally you're good with that. We'll put a notice that we're canceling it just to let our citizens know, but we wouldn't need an official motion.
I'm fine with that, during time off.
You good with that? Tim?
Yes.
I'm very good.
And me as well, or
Yep, I'm good.
here.
I appreciate that greatly. I'm sure this employees do.
I
as
want
well.
souvenirs.
Of course.
No t-shirt.
It might be pictures though.
All right. We're going on to public comment, items not on the agenda. Go ahead. Name, address.
Jackie Bates, 114 Sherman Street. Tim and I must have been thinking along the same lines, because my notes are pretty much what you also commented about the forensic audit. I have some questions. I'm pretty sure they can't be answered now, but they will be asked again in the future when we get the results. Is it fair to assume that the village, based on what Danielle said, has no results? You didn't get a copy of any of the results that were sent to Bert Castleberry, is that correct? The prosecutor.
Correct.
Okay. To date, how much has the village invested in fees for this audit? And are we done? Because I was going to ask the prosecution, but you answered that and said that no. There will be no more fees to the best of your knowledge from the state police?
State police doesn't charge for that.
But they initially did.
I think she's looking at for you right now.
State police.
No, state police is tax funded.
Plant Moran.
Okay, it's all been from Plant Moran, because there was an additional amount
For additional work.
approved, but how much of that has been,
She's still waiting.
any idea?
I would have to look. I don't know off the top of my head. So council had made a motion to approve additional funding. I'm not sure what portion of, I believe we received one invoice, but I don't recall the amount. And then there's still the outstanding amount that they've already approved. But if you're wanting exact costs, I can pull that for you, but I would need some
Well,
time
not
to
only me,
research
but I'm
it.
sure there's a lot of other people that would like to know.
Okay.
Okay,
I'll have that information, and I can bring it up at the next meeting. I just don't want to give you a wrong amount.
okay.
So Jackie, just to clarify.
Because
you're-
it was like $40-some thousand that was approved to be spent on this, is that correct? 43? Come on, Liz.
It's right around.
You would know. Okay, can you please, the initial unaccounted for amount was about $54,000. Is that correct? Has that amount changed to the best of your knowledge?
To my knowledge, there was never an identified amount that was missing. And then I wouldn't be able to tell you or provide any information as to what that.
Was it
amount
about
is.
that amount?
I know that when Joe Fry was administrator, there was an issue regarding approximately $53,000 that was listed on the audit. Yes, that is accurate.
So that at the time that this all started going, that was the amount.
No, let me clarify. I'm saying that that amount was in question. I'm not saying that that total amount, that was an amount that was listed on the audit. I can't remember the verbiage that they discussed, what they called it, but there was a 53,000 approximate amount. Yes, Jackie, you're accurate. I don't know what.
Unaccounted for or questioned or what?
Yes, yes,
Okay, that was the initial, that raised the flag.
yes, ma'am.
Okay. And as of now, you still have no change in that you're aware of? Or that you can make public?
That's correct.
Okay, let me rephrase that you're aware of,
We
This-
do not have information
or
on the
that you
amount
can
that we
make
can
public, those are two
provide.
questions.
We do not have the amount. period.
Okay, so we're still waiting,
If-
hopefully,
Again, we're
A few
limited,
weeks.
we don't have, I mean, truly, we don't have any information. We have made a very conscious effort to completely stay out of
Yeah.
this investigation.
yes, and I know
So-
you're repeating yourself, but I'm asking these because Tim asked first.
And I didn't talk to you before.
Okay, I should have, yeah, no,
You agree with that?
okay, well, I appreciate that, thank you. I thought, if you were reading my mind, oh boy. Thank you very much.
Thank
I
you.
understand your frustration, Jackie. I've been unfortunately involved in a number of these professionally. They always take a lot more time than what people expect.
Or hope for,
or
I
hope
appreciate
for.
that, but with
Not only the
news-
forensic portion, not only the audit portion, but then the investigation and the court proceedings. It's a lengthy process and it's one you want to make sure you get correct.
But
You never want to indict
things
someone
come
who's
to light
innocent.
again, know with the knowledge that it's gone to the prosecutor. There has been some movement finally and, and hopefully it'll
But don't be
be to an
surprised
end
if,
soon.
don't be surprised if the prosecutor goes back to the state police and asks questions.
Well,
And
they
the
already
state
have,
police goes back to the,
they already have,
well, like multiple rounds.
yeah,
It'll go
Okay.
multiple rounds.
but at least there's some movement. Something is being done that we're aware of. Thanks for the advance.
All right, we're going on to committee of the whole agenda preview. Before we go on, I should ask, is there any other public comment?
Yeah.
Go ahead, name, address.
Eric Wilson, 707 Parkwood. I talked to Holly a couple weeks ago and she told me I had to come here and talk to you guys, but our January water bill was lost in the mail. And we incurred late fee for that. We've been in the village now for 16 months, I think. We've never missed a bill and I was hoping that we could get that late fee just credited back to our bill. To talk to the post office and there was nothing they could do to, it's not, they don't have any tracking number on it or anything like that. So they just, and Holly said I had to come here and talk to you guys, but it was, I believe, a $19-ish fee for that. We just paid off both this past bill we got plus the January one for over $350. So we've never missed a payment, so it was mailed out on January 3rd and then we got our February bill and wondered where that extra, $200 came from and find out that they never got the bill, so.
You have something, Danielle? I know,
I did look at this bill and he is correct. He's not been, the records I can see have been late before. I mean, staff does not have the ability to do any waivers. I'm not even entirely sure that you guys do, but that being said, we have worked with people in the past. You guys have made motions. It is solely up to you. In the whole scheme of things, it's $19. My, I guess, only concern would just be setting that precedence. But I mean, again, he has paid.
What exactly are you asking for, the $19 being returned?
Just, it can be credited to our bill if that's fine. We just, like I said, we've paid every bill. We're not trying to make a big stink, but I mean, it is $19, but we're just trying to, like, we did our part. We sent the check in, it was lost in the mail somehow, and I can't remember the lady's name that I talked to the post office, she said that's not.
Probably his wife.
No, it was not, if it was his wife, I'd know. But like I said, we're not trying to throw a big stink, but we did our part and we sent it in. If anything, my wife is overly productive of getting things sent out before for bills, so we just would like to get credited back that. I can't, it was $18 or $19, I can't remember the exact, and it didn't show it on the bill that I got in the email, so I don't remember the exact amount.
Yeah, I think it was like 1920.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember the exact amount either.
I think the last one we did was for the school, wasn't it? We had to formally make a motion to credit that.
Yes, if you are wanting to do a credit, it would need to be a formal motion that is voted on.
I'll make that motion that we credit Mr. Wilson's account for the late fee based on they didn't get their bill through the snail mail.
Before I second that, would you be willing to sign up for automatic payment?
I brought the last one in. We're just gonna start bringing them in to avoid that, like.
Would you be willing to sign up for automatic payment?
Does it cost any extra?
No.
Probably then.
And that's what we usually relay as well to the customers, so
Yeah.
it's just to keep it in
Yeah.
check.
Yeah, we'll look into that. I don't know if that's something my wife, she handles our bill. She's a lot better with numbers than I am, so that's why I teach phys ed,
There's
so.
also a drop off. I'll second that.
Lisa, you got that?
And then you could also get it sent to you by email.
Yeah, we have
Or you
both,
can do
and that's for that reason, because we had that happen one time where we got it like right before it was due from the mail, like it got lost, so we have the email and all that, but I didn't even realize online was an option, but like I said, she handles all that, so.
Yeah, that, Lisa?
Yeah.
All right. You wanna call the roll then?
Yeah.
Tim,
Yes.
Jerry,
Yes.
Gwen,
Yes.
Barb,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Bob.
Yes, that motion carried.
I do have one quick question too, since with this park and recreation stuff, I teach at the middle school. If I have a question about the tennis courts, who would I contact right now?
The what?
Contact you? Okay.
Yes, and I'm the one that emailed you, so all my contact information is in there. Stop by, whatever is easier for you.
Perfect, thank you.
I make a motion to adjourn.
We're almost there. Sorry.
That was it.
We're
done.
Committee of the whole agenda, February 21. Will you find out if Ragged does that Zoom?
Yeah, I definitely, as soon as I hear back from Natalie, I will let you guys know, and we'll be sure to share out a notice as well if they do, or even if they don't.
That's a question. Is it at 7 o'clock? I think, but I don't see it on here.
Yes, it is at 7.
Okay, James.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. You call the roll.
Jerry,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Barb,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
Gwen,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Bob.
Yes. Motion. Meeting adjourned.